Addicted to your phone? Give me a few minutes and I'll fix it. And I'm not gonna tell you to delete Instagram or TikTok or to do a 30-day digital detox. I'm just gonna tell you what I did to actually go from spending 7 to 8 hours per day mindlessly scrolling to actually being in control of my phone instead of the other way around. And it starts with understanding one thing: why you can't actually stop. When they say put your phone down, it's not about willpower. It's not something really in your control. Dr. Anna Lemke, a psychiatrist at Stanford who spent years studying addiction, says your phone is literally designed to be addictive, using specific tactics to keep users hooked. These apps use unpredictable reward system like likes, matches, or like new content, similar to slot machines. And this triggers a rush of dopamine, followed by a craving that drives the brain to check the device continuously. And infinite scrolling. This feature removes natural stopping points by loading content seamlessly as you swipe. And then there is red notification badges and push alerts. Create a manufactured sense of urgency and FOMO, fear of missing out, making the phone nearly impossible to ignore. Every time you scroll, swipe, refresh, or get a new notification, your brain releases a small hit of dopamine. And dopamine feels like relief, like possibility, like maybe the next video will be the one that finally satisfies you, but it never quite does. Because the moment the dopamine fades, and it fades very fast, your brain wants another hit. So you scroll again and again and again. Catherine Price, who wrote How to Break Up with Your Phone, says something that I think is the most honest description of this I have ever read. Smartphones engage in disruptive behaviors that have traditionally been performed only by extremely annoying people. Think about it this way: your phone interrupts you mid-sentence, it demands your attention constantly, and it shows you things designed to make you feel like you're missing out. If a person did this, you would probably leave the room. But because it's a device, we just keep picking it up. And I was picking it up 8 hours a day. And the moment I understood that it wasn't a discipline problem, it was a design problem, everything started to change. Breathe, observe, and be. The first thing that actually worked for me came from Catherine Price's book, and she called it POP. Breathe, observe, and be. And the idea is simple: interrupt the automatic reflex of reaching for your phone before it becomes an action. Because here's what's happening. Every time you pick up your phone without thinking, you're not actually making a choice. You're running a reflex. The phone is there, the hand moves, and ultimately the screen is on. And you didn't decide any of it. This technique gives you back the decision. The moment you feel the urge to check your phone, breathe. Just one breath. Observe, what are you actually feeling right now? Bored, anxious, uncomfortable with silence? B, just sit with that feeling for 3 seconds before you decide what to do with it. And that's it. It sounds simple, but what it actually does is to create a gap between the trigger and the behavior. And in that gap, you get to choose. Most of the time, I realized that I wasn't reaching for my phone because I needed it. I was reaching for it because I didn't know what to do with a quiet moment. What your phone did to your attention. At first, I thought breaking the phone habit would just mean spending less time scrolling. But what I didn't realize was how much my phone had changed the way my brain worked. John Harry, in his book Stalling Focus, explains that our phones have trained us to crave constant stimulation. We scroll, we refresh, we swipe to the next thing before the current thing has finished. And slowly, without noticing, our brain forgets how to really just stay with one single thing. And I noticed this in a very specific way. I kept seeing things online. Activities, ideas, things that I genuinely wanted to try. And instead of getting up and doing them, I would just save them. Watch later, try later, start later. There was this drawing I kept seeing and I wanted to try it myself. And I thought about it every time it came up, but I never did it because actually doing it meant closing the app and sitting with that drawing and nothing else. And my brain, trained for constant stimulation, found that uncomfortable. So I kept watching other people draw instead of drawing myself. And that moment made me realize that my phone wasn't just taking my time, it was taking my ability to be present in my own life. Cal Newport calls this deep work, the ability to focus without distraction on something that actually matters. And he says it's becoming one of the rarest and valuable skills a person can have, precisely because very few people can still do it. How to fix your attention span. So how do you actually get it back? The honest answer from my own experience is you have to replace the stimulation with something real. Because telling your brain no more scrolling without giving it an alternative is like telling someone who is hungry to stop thinking about food. It doesn't work. What worked for me was finding activities that required my actual presence. Walking outside without headphones, without a podcast, without anything. Just walking and letting my mind wander. And reading physical books, not because it's more virtuous, but because a book cannot send you a notification. It cannot refresh itself. It asks you to just stay with it. And eventually I picked up the drawing. Sat down, no phone, just me and the paper and something I had been wanting to try for months. And the discomfort of the first time, the urge to check, to scroll, to refresh, it faded, and what replaced it was something I hadn't felt in a while. Just being somewhere fully, without half of me on a screen. The key is finding something that interests you enough to make you want to stay with it. It doesn't have to be drawing, it can be cooking something new, playing an instrument, writing, or building something, or going somewhere without your phone in your hand. Anything that asks you to be present and gives you something back for it. The practical changes that made everything easier for me. Alongside all of this, there were two practical changes that made everything significantly easier. The first one is to turn your phone to grayscale mode. Color is part of what makes your phone visually irresistible. The red notification dot, the bright thumbnails, the vibrant feeds, all designed to catch your eye and hold it. Grayscale mode removes that. Your phone becomes a tool instead of an attraction. You can turn it on in your phone's accessibility or digital well-being settings. Takes 30 seconds, but I'm not gonna lie, it feels strange at first, almost wrong. But that strangeness is information that tells you how much the color design was working on you without your permission. And the second one is to turn off every notification that isn't important to you, because every ping, buzz, and banner is a small interruption that pulls you out of whatever you're doing and back into the phone's world. Catherine Price calls notifications invitations to anxiety. Tiny, repeated signals that something, somewhere needs your attention, but most of them don't. Go through your apps today and turn off everything that isn't a real message from a real person that you actually want to hear from. Your brain will be quieter than you expect. I went from 8 hours a day to around an hour a day, not because I have more discipline than I used to, but because I understood what was actually happening and I gave myself something real to do instead. The phone is not the enemy, but the version of you that's half present in your own life. Because the other half is always on a screen. That's worth fixing, and it starts today. Drop a comment and tell me what is one thing you've been saving, watching, or watching to try, and you could actually start today. If you like my content, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Bye.